Hello friends, it's Lisa, and today I'm going to be chatting through some of the books that I plan to read in 2023 that I predict will be 5 stars. So I have done 5-star predictions videos, I think every single year pretty much that I have had this channel. I think this is the 4th year of me doing 5-star predictions, so that's kind of wild that I've been doing this long enough to have this be the 4th one, but we're not going to dissect that. But yeah, I think like most years I have a mix of some new releases as well as some backlisted titles that I already have on my TBR that I plan to read this year and that I think will be 5 stars. And last year I tried out doing reading vlogs where I throughout the year would pick up my 5-star predictions and do a whole vlog dedicated to reading them. I'm not going to do that this year. I'm just going to do a video at the end of this year or beginning of 2024. I hate that that was a year that just came out of my mouth. But either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, I will put up a video talking through these books and seeing if I was correct in my predictions. But let us just get into my 5-star predictions for this year. So I have 5 backlisted titles as well as 5 new releases to talk about. And I think to make it a little bit more interesting, I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth. So we'll start with a backlisted title, then do a new release and kind of go from there. So I think the first backlisted title that I want to talk about that I think will be 5 stars is Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the 3rd and final book in the Brown Sisters romance trilogy, and in this particular book you're following Eve Brown, and she's kind of described as a certified hot mess on the back of this book, but that kind of chaotic energy gets her into some trouble, and her parents kind of say, okay, you need to grow up. So she goes to interview at this bed and breakfast for an open chef position, and we're following also Jacob, who is kind of, I think, the owner of this bed and breakfast, and he is like, no way am I hiring her, it's not happening. But then Eve ends up hitting Jacob with her car in the parking lot of the bed and breakfast, and now he's a little understaffed because obviously he can't work, so he's kind of forced to hire her. So everything about that just sounds like so much fun. I've also already read the first 2 books in this trilogy, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and I really enjoyed both of them, so I feel like this is a pretty safe option that I'm at least going to enjoy this. I haven't given, I don't think, the other 2 books 5 stars, so this could be a bit risky, but I feel like if any of the books in the series are going to be 5 stars, I feel like it might be this one. I just already love Eve and love her vibe, and I feel like I relate to her in some way. I also am getting the vibe that this book has the grumpy sunshine trope, which is one of my favorite tropes to read about in romance. I pretty much love it every time I read it. And also the setting of the bed and breakfast sounds so cute and so cozy and like such a fun setting for a romance. And also just like all of the other books that I've read from Talia Hibbert before, I've enjoyed, and they've always made me laugh. This sounds like it's going to be really funny and really entertaining, but also very sweet. So I feel like this is a pretty solid prediction. I feel pretty good about this, and I feel like this will probably be 5 stars. Okay, jumping to a 2023 release, my next prediction that's going to be 5 stars is Happy Place by Emily Henry, yet another romance. So this is going to be Emily Henry's next adult romance book, and I'm so excited about it. You're following Wynn and Harriet, I believe. Yes, and they were a couple since college. They were very solid. They just like kind of naturally went together. But now they are going on this annual trip that they take with their friends to a cottage in Maine. And 6 months prior to this trip, they actually broke up and didn't tell any of their friends this. So they end up going on this trip with their friends to this cottage in Maine, but they kind of have to pretend that they're still together. So this kind of has the like second chance romance and also fake dating. Second chance romance, don't know how I feel necessarily about that trope. I feel like it has worked for me in books in the past, but there's also some that I've read that I have not really enjoyed or just didn't love as much as I expected to. But the fake dating trope, however, is another one of my favorite tropes. And I feel like taking the fake dating trope and adding this history that these 2 main characters have together, the fact that they have been together before and they kind of have to keep up that facade that they are still together, it just sounds like it's going to be so fun. But also, like, I know Emily Henry, I've read some of her other or all of her adult romance books now at this point, and they all also were very emotional, so I'm sure this is also gonna make me cry. So yeah, I have read the other adult romances that Emily Henry has written, and I've enjoyed all of them, some more than others, but I still overall enjoyed all 3 of them, so I feel like I'm most likely going to enjoy this. Will it be 5 stars though? I'm not sure, because out of the 3 that I've read from her, only 1 was 5 stars, so this could be a bit risky, but I do really love the idea and the concept of this book. It has that kind of fake dating aspect, and it's set in Maine, and I love Maine. So my next prediction is going to go to Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This is following a character named Viv, and she is an orc, and she has kind of gotten sick of all of the bloodshed and all of the fighting in this fantastical world, so she decides to kind of stop doing that, stop engaging with that, and open a coffee shop. And I believe this book is just following Viv as she goes through this journey of running this coffee shop and running into new and old rivals. And it also says on the back, but the true rewards of the uncharted path are the travelers you meet along the way. And whether drawn together by ancient magic, a flaky pastry, or a freshly brewed cup, they may become partners, family, and something deeper than she ever could have dreamed. And that just sounds incredible. It sounds so cozy, so magical. It says it's a novel of high fantasy and low stakes, which that's what I want. I just love the idea of this like cozy fantasy type of book, the very low stakes, but the fantastical world and the magic. And it's also set at a coffee shop, and I love coffee, so I just think it's going to be such a cozy setting. I also feel like every time I see someone talking about this book, they are loving it. Someone is either giving it 4 or 5 stars. I am sure that, you know, it's not for everyone and that there are reviews out there that are a bit more negative, but I feel like I see nothing but glowing reviews and positive reviews, which makes me so excited to get into this. This just feels like it's going to be my kind of thing. Yeah, I'm just so excited to kind of delve more into cozy fantasy, and this feels like a good place to start. So the next book on my 2023 5-star predictions is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, another 2023 release. And I'm going to try my best to describe this book because this is the prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, which I read in 2021 and really loved it. But I feel like the description of this book doesn't really make a whole lot of sense unless you have the kind of knowledge of the world and of Priory, but this is a very fantastical world. There's also dragons or worms in this world as well, and it seems like there's going to be a few different characters that we're following in different parts of this world. One is a part of the Priory, which is this group of people who fight the worms or the dragons in this world, but since the Nameless One, who is like the most evil dragon, has kind of disappeared, there haven't been a whole lot of dragons to fight, so people are kind of questioning the existence of the Priory. And then we're also going to be seeing the Queen and the royalty in this world, and I think that's going to introduce a lot of the political aspects of this book. And then it seems like we're following another character in another different place that's trying to wake the sleeping dragons. But then the place, the volcano that the Nameless One, that evil dragon, came from, I think explodes or something, so it causes all of these women to kind of come together and work together. And it just seems really interesting premise. I'm definitely gonna have to do a reread of Priory before this book because I was reading the description of this book and not really remembering a lot of details from this world. It's a very like detailed, in-depth, fantastical world, so I think it makes sense that Samantha Shannon is returning to this world and writing more books set here because there's so much detail that she created, there's so much history, so I'm really excited that she is returning to it and creating more books set here. I definitely feel like there's a lot of potential within this world and with these characters, and because this is a prequel, I'm interested to see how the events in this book kind of affect the characters and the events of Priory. But yeah, definitely gonna need to do a reread of Priory before this book just so I can get familiar again with the world and the characters and everything, but really excited. Such an interesting world. I love Samantha Shannon's characters and writing, so I think that this is going to be a good one. All right, my next 5-star prediction for this year is Ophelia After All by Raquel Marie. This honestly doesn't have that much of a description. I feel like it's definitely going to be more of a character-based, character-driven novel, but you're following Ophelia, who knows certain things about herself, and one of those things is that she's kind of boy crazy. She's always crushing on someone new, but then kind of her views on herself and everything starts to change when she starts to realize she has a crush on a girl named Talia. So this causes Ophelia to kind of doubt this image that she had of herself that was so clear before, and it seems like there's just going to be a lot of like issues regarding friendships and figuring out sexuality and just like a very coming of age novel, which I love a good emotional coming of age novel, so that's why it's on this list. I also really love a character driven novel. I like when a book has a really interesting plot, but if I love and care for characters, I can almost put the plot to the side. I don't even really care what's going on if I care and am invested in the characters, which this kind of gives me the vibe that it's going to be a more character-driven novel, so I hope that that is the case. I've also heard literally nothing but good things about this book. I feel like this was also a lot of people's like one of their favorite books of 2022, and I just really feel like as far as YA contemporary, this is going to be the kind that I will still enjoy and will want to read. I definitely feel like I'm straying away a little bit from YA contemporary, which is fair, as I am not in the YA age demographic anymore, but I feel like if there is going to be a YA contemporary that I want to pick up, it's going to be a coming of age, emotional story with a little bit of romance, and this just seems to kind of check all of the boxes that I want in a YA contemporary, so I'm really excited about this. I know so many people loved it, so I'm hoping I do too. My next 5-star prediction, another 2023 release, is going to be Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. So I kind of want to read just like a bit of the synopsis. I try to word things in my own words because I feel like that's a little bit more interesting than me just reading the synopsis on Goodreads, but I do feel like the synopsis of this book makes it sound really interesting, at least the beginning part of it. So it says, Fleur has a gift. She can predict to the day when someone will die. So when she decides she wants a living wake, a party to bring her family and community together to celebrate the long life she's led, her sisters are surprised. Has Fleur foreseen her own death or somebody else's? Does she have other motives? And she kind of refuses to tell all of her sisters why she decides to do this living wake. But this seems like it's a story really following the women in this family. We're seeing all of the sisters' perspectives as well as some of the younger generations as well, and getting all of their perspectives and seeing the kind of challenges that they face. I think we're going, into the history of this family and the present day, and seeing how all of their stories and all of the things that they've experienced, how that all comes together to help them kind of navigate this situation. This book just seems like it's going to be so beautiful and heartbreaking and emotional, which I feel like is every Elizabeth Acevedo book. I have read all of Elizabeth Acevedo's YA novels, and I've given all of them 5 stars. She's definitely one of my favorite authors, which is part of the reason why this is on my 5-star predictions list. I've given everything I've read from her 5 stars, which makes me think this will be 5 stars as well. But I just know her books have such an impact on me. They're always so beautiful and heartbreaking and just always have this impact on me. They're so emotional. I always care so much for the characters and the story. I've also been saying since I started reading Elizabeth Acevedo's books that I would love for her to write an adult novel, just because of different themes and things that she could explore in the adult genre. And she listened to me. She finally did it, and I'm so excited. I also just love the premise of this book. I love following families and sisters, and especially like families through different generations, because it seems like we're going to be getting some like flashbacks and like history to different people in this family, as well as like the present day. And that just sounds like everything I could want. So I'm super excited for this. I'm super excited for a new Elizabeth Acevedo book. I feel like it's been a minute. I feel like Clap When You Land was one of her more recent releases, and that came out in 2021. So yeah, just so excited that we have a new Elizabeth Acevedo, and it's an adult contemporary, which is what I've wanted, with maybe like a touch of magic as well. And this I know is just gonna make me become a puddle on the floor and just be so emotional, and I'm so ready for it. All right, my next backlisted 5-star prediction is going to be Babel by R.F. Kuang. So in this book, you're following Robin Swift, who is taken to London to study, to eventually enroll in Oxford's, it's the Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. And it says, the tower and its students are the world's center for translation and, more importantly, magic. Silverworking, the art of manifesting the meaning of lost in translation using enchanted silver bars, has made the British unparalleled in power as the arcane craft serves the Empire's quest for colonization. And Robin, with being involved in Babel and serving Babel, he realizes that that's kind of going against and betraying his homeland, his motherland, and where he's from. So I think this book is him kind of making that choice, and I love the way that this description ends. It says, can powerful institutions be changed from within, or does revolution always require violence? So that kind of stresses me out about what's going to happen, but it sounds really interesting. R.F. Kuang is so big-brained, so intelligent, so incredible. I'm just in awe of her at all times. I have read The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I've only read the first book in that series. I need to finish the series. I just don't know if I'm ready for that pain, but I was so impressed and just overwhelmed with how amazing that book was that I feel like this is going to be the same. This is another one that so many other people are also really loving. A lot of people that I have similar tastes to are really loving it. I just feel like the whole concept and the kind of discussions and things that this book is going to be facing and discussing and really highlighting is going to be really, really interesting to read. So I'm excited, also nervous, because I know a lot of people get hurt by this book, but I'm ready for pain, I'm ready for suffering, and I just can't imagine this not being 5 stars. So my next 5-star prediction is going to be Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This is by Heather Fawcett, and I have never read anything from this author. I don't even know if this author has any other books. Just the whole premise of this book made me put it on this list. You are following Emily, who is a Cambridge professor and is working on creating this encyclopedia of all of her knowledge on fairies. She's also not a people person. It says in the description that she would rather spend time with her books and her dog, and you know what? That's valid. But then she goes to this village to gather more research for her encyclopedia that she's writing. And when she gets there, there's also a new arrival in the town, in the village, and it's someone that is her like academic rival. So she's trying to do her research and ignore him, but he's kind of messing with her research, and it just seems like it's going to be perhaps a little romance between them. And it just seems so magical, so cozy. This is another book that I think is going to be in the cozy fantasy kind of genre, which just really appeals to me at the moment, apparently. And also, the grumpy sunshine trope strikes again. I feel like that's going to be the kind of vibe of the romance in this book, and the fact that they're like academic rivals as well. I'm so excited. It seems so, so cute. So yeah, just another cozy fantasy with a bit of magic, a bit of information about fairies, while also having a cute and fun romance that I think has a lot of tropes that I'm going to enjoy. And it just seems like it's going to be such a cozy read. Definitely is a bit of a risky choice. Like I was saying, haven't read from this author before. Don't know if I'm going to like the writing or really anything about it. This is definitely, I feel like, my more risky choice. However, it just seems like something I'm going to love. So that's why I put it on the list. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be 5 stars. Okay, so my final backlisted title for my 5-star predictions this year is going to be Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. This is definitely going to be a very emotional and hard-hitting YA contemporary. You're following Mara, who has a twin brother named Owen, and Mara's best friend Hannah ends up accusing Owen of rape. You're following Mara as she really struggles to stand by her family, but also stand up for her morals and what she thinks is right and wrong, and also for her friend. Like I said, this just seems like it's going to be a very heavy and emotional read. I'm definitely going to need to make sure I'm in the right headspace to read this book, but I feel like I'm going to really enjoy it. As much as you can enjoy a book like this, I just think it's going to be a very like impactful and emotional read. I have read another of Ashley Herring Blake's books before. I read How to Make a Wish, which is another YA book, and that's another one that had a great cast of characters and a great romance. It definitely had its more emotional moments as well. So I think I'm just gonna really vibe with her books and her stories and characters and everything. And I believe all of the romances in her books are sapphic, so that's just like an added bonus. This may have a romance in it. It does say that there is a strained relationship with her ex-girlfriend, so I'm not really sure where that leads, but I wouldn't be mad if there ends up being some sort of romance in here. That might help to make it a little bit more light when the overall tone and plot of this book is so heavy, but definitely one that I think is going to have a big impact on me and make me very emotional. Definitely a hard-hitting contemporary, which I feel like is what I tend to want to read from the YA contemporary genre at this point. But now we can get into the final 5-star prediction for 2023. It's a new release, and it is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. So this description also doesn't really give a whole lot about what's going to happen. It's just about this overworked book publicist who ends up discovering this strange man that's in the kitchen of her aunt's apartment is in the past. He's from 7 years in the past, which I think is going to make the kind of relationship and her like falling for him quite complicated. And honestly, like, I feel like that's really all the description gives you. So it just sounds really interesting, very unique for a romance. I have read from Ashley Poston before. I did read her other adult romance that came out in 2022, The Dead Romantics, and really loved it. I have read some of her YA books as well, but I love that it seems to be like a theme with her adult romances, that they have this like really unique kind of quirky quality to them. The Dead Romantics had to do with the love interest kind of falling in love with a ghost, and this one has to do with the main character falling in love with someone from the past, or 7 years in the past, and just knowing how much the Dead Romantics like hurt me, but also I loved it and loved the romance, and and I thought the humor in it was really great, and I did really like the writing as well. I feel like this is going to have a lot of those same qualities. And yeah, because I love the Dead Romantic so much, I just feel like I'm going to love this one as well. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of drama and a lot of angst that's going to come with this man being 7 years in the past, but them kind of developing this relationship. So I love a good angsty moment. So I feel like I'm really going to enjoy this. But those are my 10 5-star predictions for 2023. We will see if I end up being correct or not. I feel like I don't have the best track record with my 5-star predictions. Sometimes I'm spot on. Sometimes I give myself really easy 5 stars, but sometimes I put books on these lists that I think it's going to be an easy 5-star, and it's not. So we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed that all of these books are 5 stars. I want this to be the most successful 5-star predictions video yet. I honestly feel like if I'm not successful with these 5-star predictions, I feel like I may need to stop doing these types of videos, but hopefully it will be successful. Hopefully they will be 5 stars. But let me know in the comments if you have any 5-star predictions for this year as well, or if you've read any of these books, if you think I will give them 5 stars, if you think I'm going to be successful, or if you made it to the end of this video and you don't know what else to comment, leave a cat emoji, because we have had a cat, I don't know if you can see, we've had a cat looking over us this whole video, and I don't know if you could see him at all in the background, but Sam has been sleeping and watching over me filming this video the whole time, so leave some sort of cat-themed emoji down below. But that is going to be it for this video, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!